Good Monday evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Safety Stop right here on the Pennyroyal Divers Group. JoJo, are you staying warm?
Trying to. I'm all bundled up today, I tell you what.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't broke out the dry suit and, just wearing it around.
That's tempting. I do got my undergarments in the truck, and they will probably be on sometime this winter.
Well, when you're working outside, it's a good option to have. Have your undergarments for your dry suit, throw them on, you'll stay warm for sure.
Oh, yeah. They'll go under the Carhartts very easily, and then I can throw on my heated vest under that. So.
Yeah, exactly. I can see you right now out on the job site. You got your little neoprene heated vest on. You're sitting there with your little remote control. I need to be warmer. Click.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm feeling pretty good about getting through the winter so far. I'm just not looking forward to the cold weather.
Hey, me neither. And, I stepped outside this morning. I'm like, holy crap, the season is almost over. Wow. I mean, it just slapped me in the face like, man, it's cold.
It's here.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's see who all we got joining us this evening. Looks like Mr. Chris Magstack. Good evening, sir. Chad and Emily both are in the house. And, of course, Mr. Mike Schutz has chimed in there. So good evening to you all, and welcome to another edition. I was talking to Joe just before we came on, and, we were talking about taking it back to the basics. And when we say take it back to the basics, and I've got a trivia question for everybody tonight. So we haven't had one like in the last 4 episodes. So we're going to do a trivia question tonight, and it's actually 2 answers. So we'll throw that up here in just a minute. But our question to you guys is when was the last time you actually stopped during a dive and practiced one of your basic open water skills? Not actually performing, actually like stopping and, hey, I want to work on mask removal or equipment removal, replace. JoJo was talking about he likes to try to keep it to where he's proficient in taking everything off and putting it back on except for your dry suit.
Yeah, pretty much. So that dry suit's a bad idea to put on and off under the water. But yeah, I literally, especially if we got a pool or somewhere 10, 15 feet, I like to literally throw everything in the bottom of the pool and go put it on all under the water. There's nothing that says you can't.
Mr. Todd Ransford's joined us. Good evening, sir. Chad says crickets. So I'm assuming that his last few recreational dives, he's not practiced any of his basic open water skills.
Oh. Now's the perfect time for that mask.
Huh?
Now's the perfect time for that mask skill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right now is a perfect time to go down to 80 foot, practice your mask skills.
There's nothing like 45-degree water hitting your face.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, though, can you answer that question? A lot of divers, don't think about it. They do their dive, they come up. Now, of course, every once in a while, if it's second hand or second nature, you'll clear your mask, put a little water in, clear it out, go on if it's fogging, which is perfectly fine. But I'm talking, hey, I want to brush up and knock the rust off of these and try to do them.
Oh, yeah. How many times have you actually used your Octo? How much dust has it got on it?
Exactly. I mean, it's a great piece of equipment to have if you need it, but, you want to make sure it works, regulator exchange, something,
Can you get to it easy? Is it tangled up in something where you can't pull it out?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So there's several different things, you can ask yourself, the next time you go diving, whether it's at the park or on a dive vacation, whatnot, think about it. Hey, pick a skill, give your buddy an out of air sign, freak the dive master out,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really even think about it, but we do S drills with side mount. And that's just to make sure all your gear, you can get to it and it's accessible.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it ain't stuck underneath some kind of bungee or whatnot. And I mean, we really need to do the same thing in open water, making sure we get to that gear as well.
Well, in technical diving, whether it's side mount or it's back mount doubles, whatnot, you're always practicing those types of drills. I know with doubles, you're doing valve drills, switching things around. So, you know, but as recreational divers, most of the times we get out of open water class, and now if you continue education with specialties, you learn new skills and practice old skills. But let's say you haven't taken a class in, a couple, 3 years. How often are you actually going to think about practicing open water skills? Eh, Good question. I mean, honestly, JoJo's like,
Yep.
uh,
You
Chad
don't think
says,
about it. After you go in a class, you just go and have fun.
oh yeah, exactly. Now for us as dive professionals, usually we're always doing something. Whether it's in class or demonstrating, helping somebody figure out the best method to do a skill, clear a mask, whatnot. It's things like that we always get practice. And I know JoJo's cracking up. I haven't read the comment. Go ahead and read the comment, JoJo. I seen it.
Chris has posted on there. I haven't practiced my clothes removal and put them back on recently.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. uh,
Get up there.
yeah.
That's not squishy.
We can't. We don't have any suggestions or advice on that one. If it's about a regulator, BC wetsuit. Don't take your dry suit off underwater, JoJo.
Oh.
So I noticed, and I said it a while ago. Chad commented, "Cricket, cricket." So Chad, when was the last time you practiced a basic open water skill? I'm expecting to see more cricket signs. Is there a cricket emoji? All right, JoJo. So since we're taking it back to basics tonight, our trivia question is really something that is taught in open water. So let's see how many people get, you know, can get these answers. Remember, I said it's got two answers to it. So we're going to go ahead and throw it up. Emily threw up the cricket emoji. All right. So tonight's trivia question. Let's see how many people can get it right. An object is neutrally buoyant when it displaces an amount of water blank its own weight. This is known as what? So we'll give you guys time to throw your answers up in the comments, and we'll talk about them here in a little bit. So an object that is neutrally buoyant when it displaces an amount of water blank its own weight. This is known as what? So,
One of my favorite physics lessons, right there.
and it is taught in open water. So, of course, it's also taught in several other classes too. But yeah, so
Mm-mm-mm.
let's see.
How to make
Frank,
a ship float? You can
huh?
figure it out. So how to make a ship float? You can figure it out.
Oh yeah. Let's Frank says I practice a lot in August with Brian. Chad says only when Byron. I think he means Brian. Uh, Brian makes me last time I was certified in basic open water. Uh, Mike says lost regulator drill from a fin to the face in Roatan. Now I don't know where. I guess I missed that one. I have to ask him about that fin to the face in Roatan.
Maybe he was following Trish around too closely.
There's no telling. But yeah. So honestly though, you know, I was going through like we're getting ready for the 30th season at the park, and the other day I was going through. We were slow at the park. It's getting cold. Uh, but I was going through working on some stuff, and looking back at all the divers that we have certified over the years, and thinking, the ones that had, got certified 10 years ago. I wonder how many are still diving. Number one, but number two, how many can do the skills now? You know, so of course there are some that have continued on, but from 10 years ago, 2013. So it's just a
Can you
question in
still
my
pick
mind.
up that BC and move it around where you need it to and fix that tank without having to end your dive?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, not only that, and I've had this happen to me. If you're at depth in cold water and you breathe or you move too much air through your BC, whether it's inflating, filling up a lift bag, breathing too much, you can freeze your first stage up.
Yep.
Especially when you're, in 44, 45-degree water, that air's moving through, it gets cold and it will
Oh,
freeze
yeah.
it up.
A
So
lot of air
what,
moving through a small orifice.
yeah.
It
So,
gets cold.
so what happens when it freezes?
No air gets through then. Well, except the fact that it keeps going through. The valve gets frozen open.
The valve gets frozen open, and that's the biggest thing, you know. And I know a lot of divers know it, but if we have any folks out there who are not divers that are tuning in, regulators are designed. If they fail, they will fail open, which means they will give it too much or will continuously give air. So when that happens, again, when the regulator freezes, it freezes open. It's going to continuously give air until there's no air left in the tank. So at that point, this is where a good dive buddy comes into play. you know, Air sharing. I mean, that is a simple scenario, and of course, it can be scary. I mean, if you're not,
Huh?
used to it, not, of course, not expecting it, but it's not a end your dive kind of emergency. It's really not.
No.
It's simply, air share, start coming to a slower, coming towards the surface, a shallower depth. Have your dive buddy turn your tank off while you're air sharing, and leave it off for a couple of minutes. Just share air, let it thaw out, turn it back on, and just stay shallower, in warmer water. It'll work perfect. But of
Hmm.
course, a lot of people don't think about that. Especially if you've never had it happen before, and only thing is it's giving me too much air and my tank's going to empty. So just it's basic skills. How often do you practice them?
Yeah, and you're sitting at 80 feet of water and there's bubbles going everywhere. You go over your octo and now it's starting to free flow and everything's just blowing everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It gets scary. So how do you handle it?
Oh
Are you
yeah,
ready to?
exactly. It's simple. That everything that happens underwater, minus not having air, is an inconvenience. If you don't have air, that's an emergency. But everything else is an inconvenience.
Yeah.
you
Uh,
know,
Practicing the skills. How many times have you just pushed the purge valve and continuously breathed on it while you did an emergency ascent or something?
yeah.
You know,
Or
see how
practice,
fast you.
breathing off a free flowing regulator.
Mhm.
That's a basic, basic easy skill to do. Stop on a platform or, get neutrally buoyant and sit there and just sip off air or sip off of free flow.
So it'll give you an idea how much time you got before your tank's about empty too.
Yeah,
So how much reserve are you putting in if you're diving in cold water at depth?
true.
Probably needs to be a little bit more than one third.
Just a little. Yeah, just a little. Of course, it also depends on your sac rate too. How much are you
Yeah.
breathing? So, if you don't know what your surface air consumption rate is, uh, you know, I always like to tell students, in open water class, here's the formula, figure out your sac rate, or if you've got one of these handy dandy little Shearwater Terex or Perdixes
Not
that will figure it for you, you can look at it and see how much air you actually breathe, the surface air consumption rate. And,
yeah.
huh?
I like mine. I'll compare it to a peaceful dive and one that like I'm struggling with, like something's continuously bugging me, and you'll see a big difference in your breathing rate.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But, I always tell students, figure this out. What your surface air consumption rate is, your sac rate. And then don't look at it again after class until you hit around 100 dives. Because you can do it around your 100th dive, recalculate it, refigure it. You'll be able to see where you are actually calming down and breathing at a more normal rate.
Mm-hmm. Which
Uh,
probably goes to the skills you have to actually do on your own, and that's confidence building.
oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, how many people were comfortable right out of the gate open water? I mean, there's not a lot of people. It's a big thing. After dive 4 with your instructor, and now dive 5. Okay, you guys go out and have fun. It's like, okay, there's no skills. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, what? You're not going with me? What if something happens? I've only done 4 dives, so we get the wheel of panic going all around again.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's but it is. I mean, it falls back to the basics. You know, again, the basic open water skills. How often is it practiced? There's a lot of different scenarios. We could sit here and probably go over this all night long on different things that can happen that can be corrected underwater and continue the dive. But yeah, the surface air consumption is definitely one. If you don't have a lot of dives under your belt, go ahead and do that next time. Figure it up. You can Google the formula and figure your sac rate. Or if you've got a dive computer and it's air integrated, then you should be able to find it in probably your dive log once you do your dive, because most of them do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I mean, figure that. Don't look at it again until you get 50, 60, 100 more dives under your belt. Look at it again, compare them.
Yeah.
That shows you how comfortable you're getting. Let's see. I haven't been looking at the comments here, so I'm going to back up for just a second, see if we got anybody attempting to answer tonight's trivia question or have thrown any comments. Let's see. Chad says, suck them air bubbles. Jake Taylor, good evening, sir. I want warm weather, warm water, and bubbles. Well, I can agree with that, too.
Florida, here we come.
Yeah. It's going to be a quick trip for Dima, let me tell you. Emily says in super cold water, her sac rate goes from 15 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah. I cut mine by. Mine went up about a third last time I did my last cold water dive, and I was in a dry suit. So.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Looks like
cold water.
Huh?
With between depth and cold water, I was breathing the gas.
Oh yeah. Well, in the colder water, you will. You have to think. Again, like tonight's trivia question, the laws of physics. What happens to air when it gets cold? Just like anything else,
It freezes.
yeah. Oh yeah. It gets denser.
It does. And you can feel it too. You can feel your lungs get, feel like they're heavier when you're breathing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I like to put it in this perspective. If you ever remember the last time you had your tank filled, if it was in the summertime and it was filled to, let's say, 3,000 psi, and it's a hot summer day, 90 degrees outside, when you hook it up and you get ready to get in the water, or you get in the water, you look at your gauge and it's got 2,700 pounds in it. You're going to think you've got a short fill. Well, in all actuality, it's, again, temperature change. Temperature affects it. So, I guess tonight's more physics night than basics night.
So we got thermo and physics going on here right now. But yeah, that's a big reason I check tanks when we film the night before. I'll check them in the morning, and of course, it's cooler overnight, so they're a little less.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, it does. Let's see. Mr. Brian Stentz is in the room. Good evening, sir. Says Chris and his frozen regulator in the quarry across. Oh, I lost it. Across the highway from the quarry. He won't forget that one. Oops. I guess I done forgot it. Okay. I'll have to.
The little quarry across the road there.
Do what now?
Did you jump in the quarry across the road there?
No. Oh, I know the one he's talking about. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not actually across. Yeah, it's not across the road, but I know the one he's talking about. It was another quarry in Hopkinsville. We were doing a recovery, and the vehicle was in about 110 feet of water. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, my regulator froze. I remember that one now, so I know what he's talking about. Let's see. All right. Frank says, I had the opportunity diving through the week with divers that, like myself, didn't have a lot of dives. We would practice a skill every dive. And that's awesome. If you do something, you don't have to do all the skills during a dive. But, just like Frank, just pick a skill. Hey, I'm going to take my mask off and put it back on during this dive. You guys don't freak out, kind of thing. Just practice. We have our first guest for the trivia question. Mr. J, good evening, sir. He says equal to and unsure of the second answer. So hang with us because we're going to be revealing the answer here in just a little bit, or the answer to both, I should say. Let's see. Emily says shrink, condense. The molecules move less. She's getting all scientific over here.
Somebody liked her science class.
Yeah, that's Brian said the recovery of car in winter. Yes, that's what it was. So, yeah, I remember that one. It was winter. It was cold, and it was 110 feet. So, I didn't practice any open water skills on that dive. Let me tell you. Well, maybe a swimming ascent, but it wasn't a practice run. Oh yeah, but
kind of another thing we don't preach it in class, but we enforce it. Is leaving the camera behind. You don't have to have it on every dive.
Oh no, not on every dive. Now, if you're on that bucket list dive trip that you've always wanted to go on, then yeah, take your camera. Because you may not be back for a while. So, but if you're at the park and you're just there just to have fun, it's not going to kill you one dive to leave the camera behind and, or wherever you're diving.
Yeah, I mean, that way you can focus on, on that board or realize when something's wrong. Maybe you've been diving and there's something you haven't noticed that's wrong.
Well, that's true. And as well, new equipment configurations. If you get a new piece of equipment, another thing, that I see most commonly is that divers will get several pieces of new equipment and they're trying to get everything configured at the same time. That can cause problems. Get one thing configured, move to something else. So,
yeah, I'm guilty of that. Putting on way too much and not having it dialed in to where it needs to be yet.
I think we all are. We all are because we love our scuba toys. And, when you get 2 or 3 different things and, I can't wait to dive with this and get it all dialed in and, I'm going to add this to it and I'm going to add that to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things we just get excited.
Yeah. we forget to only change one thing at a time.
Oh yeah. The most common one I get a kick out of, Joe, is somebody's going to do a night dive and they don't have a light, so they'll buy a new dive light
Mm-hmm.
and take it and go dive with it. Hadn't even put it on charge yet. I mean, it's like, hey, okay, you really need to charge this before, get you a good charge in it. That way you don't damage or, do anything to your battery. But, but yeah, I mean, again, basic skills. Jojo, when was the last time you actually had to come out of your equipment to configure your weights or remove a hose or something?
The weights I do fairly often, so I'm always switching around here between dry, wet. But I about have that where I know exactly what I need with each configuration now. I've done it so much all summer. Replacing a hose, haven't done that in a minute.
Well, and it's one of those things like, especially if you're diving back mount, when you go to get into your gear, you may have your console wrapped behind you. The worst thing to do is, get everything on, jump in the water because you're excited. Now you can't reach your console because
Yeah,
it's stuck, you
it's
know?
under your butt and you can't get it out now.
Oh, yeah. So the easiest way, what skill do we use?
Uh, Buddy check before you get in the water.
But, well, yeah, you want to do that.
That
But,
one, don't it?
but
It's
if,
my up.
but if your buddy fails you and, now you're there, you can't see how much air you got. You can't see your computer. You can't see your depth gauge. You got
To
to
me,
do,
it's I don't know how you call it a skill, but it's almost like when we leave in the morning. It's keys, phone, and wallet. You do that little pat down. It's kind of like the same thing I do. Okay, here's my gauges. I can get to him. Here's my secondary. Here's my primary. It's over my right shoulder. I go through that checklist like that. Keep
oh, yeah.
things where they be.
Well, and I tell you, you don't see it as much nowadays as we did 15, 20 years ago. But with the use of weight belts, the most common occurrence was when you do the weight belt removal and replacement was getting your hoses or your gauges caught up and stuck, and not realizing it. So, of course, being the challenging instructor that I am, I would let the student complete it, ask them if they was okay, and then I'd give them the how much air you got, and make them realize, oh crap, I can't get to it. Do it over. But practicing skills. I mean, that helps. That it just become second nature, and yeah, I mean it's good to keep them gears greased, shall we say?
So do you need to add stuff to your checklist? Do you need to omit stuff because your configurations change?
Oh yeah. Well, and not only that, again, back to basics tonight. If you're diving with a brand new dive buddy, you've never dove with this dive buddy before, you're not going to know their equipment configuration. They're not going to know yours.
Yeah,
So
I know it's the one thing that we typically dive with octos with the class, but I have an air too. I make it a point to make sure, hey, these are different. There's different techniques with each of these. So,
oh yeah, you know that's again, like I said, back to basics. You want to make sure if you're diving with someone who you've never dove with, and we see it all the time there at the park. We'll have people come in. I need a dive buddy. I need a dive buddy. Okay, and we try to team them up with some of the regular divers that we know that are that are squared away. Introduce them, and then of course it would be up to them to, hey, well, this is what I'm diving with, and I've heard that several times. They'll introduce themselves. Well, what kind of rig are you diving? and they'll start talking and going over stuff while they're setting up, and
Mm.
yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Oh yeah. Good dive briefings. We talked about that in class. That's kind of what we're getting into there. Is talk about our dives, our gear setup,
Oh yeah.
uh, currents. Have you been in a current? Do you know what to do with currents? You know, we talk about that in class, but at the core, you don't get to experience it.
Oh yeah. Although several people do claim there's a current in the quarry.
I
It's
think they're in
wind.
that coasting phase, or
Well,
they flip the toes.
well, it's like anything else. If you're on the surface, the wind will actually move you.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure there's some kind of convection stuff going on too. It moves water around the quarry in some way or fashion.
yeah. All right. Well, if you're just now tuning in, we're going to throw the trivia question up again here. Give you a chance. We've had a couple of answers on there tonight. Of course, we are going back to basics, and this is actually a basic question. An object is neutrally buoyant when it displaces an amount of water blank its own weight. This is known as what? So, like I said, I've seen a couple of answers already popped up on the board here.
You can actually do it at home if you want to try it out. So it's fun.
Well, I don't know about you, but my tub's not that deep, JoJo.
Maybe
And
your scale's a little off there. Maybe need to go smaller. Couple
well,
bowls and a brick or something.
I don't know about you, but I fill my tub up. I get out and
Can't
there's an inch of water.
If you get yours, I can't get mine.
I barely can. If I put my
If I get
scuba
in,
gear on, I can't.
out. Tell you the truth.
Let's see here. Oh, it disappeared. Thought I still had it up. There we go. All right. So yeah, this is real basic, easy question here. I've already seen a couple of people post up answers. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's 8:34. Wow, the night is still young. It's still cold, but it's still young.
Oh, hey, I think we got a few more months of this. Like, we're just
Tell
getting
me about
started
it.
here.
Well, I just had to turn around and look because uh, I had a nice roaring fire a while ago, and I just turned around and it's like died down. I'm like, oh, no wonder it's getting chilly in here.
Be like, yes, the weather's finally warming. A couple more weeks until we go diving.
Well, only if we head south, JoJo. That's where the warm water is.
A few more weeks.
All right. So let's talk about this particular trivia question, but as well, we're talking physics. So, what law is it that deals with the temperature and volume? Anybody guess?
Well, we had a correct answer on here.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Steve
Well,
Steve
I
Stormer?
know I know Sean. If he's still in here, he should be able to answer all of these.
Yeah, he's
uh,
raising his hand. Pick me.
yeah. uh, but if I'm not now, I'll be the first to admit the what we call the old guys gas laws. I get them confused. So unless I'm teaching and I've got it in front of me, I will get these things mixed up every time. Uh,
Uh,
but if I'm not mistaken, I do believe isn't the temperature relation isn't that Charles or Boyle's law? Because Charles deals with yeah, like I said, I get these guys confused. JoJo's gonna look it up. Because there's Boyles, Charles, Dalton, and of course the answer to tonight's trivia question. Ah, thought I was going to give it away, didn't you? I know this one, so.
Okay, Boyle's law has to do with the compression and expansion of gases
Yep.
based on constant temperature.
Constant temperature. Yes, that is exactly right.
So now, if you want the one with temperature change,
Let's
no, it's a
see.
law of thermodynamics.
The law of what?
Yeah, first law. I know I'm getting a little bit geeky here.
Well, go ahead.
So, the ideal gas law, or um, first law of thermodynamics, is pretty much pressure is equal force over area, and by that we can derive out by keeping either our cylinders constant, which we increase the pressure, decreasing for volume changes, or we can keep things like temperature and we can change the volume, which then can make things float. So it is a really cool dynamic you can have between those constants and just changing them around.
Yeah. And remember, we're keeping it basic tonight,
Yeah,
JoJo.
I know. I geeked out a little bit there. Sorry. I'm going to go play my Dungeons and Dragons now. Darn YouTube. What good is
Yeah.
YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
We have
It says, oh, yeah. Now, the Facebook, though. We just keep it on YouTube. That way we have an archive of it. We can go back later and, you know, 20 years from now and see our 20 years younger selves.
I went back to watch some of our older shows. I was like, what did we do 2 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. We're talking basics.
No.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's give it 5 more minutes. It'll be 15 till 9, and we're gonna give the answer to tonight's trivia question. It looks like Frank has thrown his answers up. So you got 5 more minutes. If you haven't thrown your guesses up, throw them up there. Uh, and yeah, so nothing like going back to the basics, JoJo. Kind of reminds me when
Yeah,
I first
I
got
mean,
certified.
this one I see all the time with new divers is the look, don't touch kind of mentality. We always find, and you've been on it, where something pretty comes along and then they swim after it and chase it away where everybody else can't enjoy it either. They want to go, ooh, pretty, gotta go to it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. We have to be
we
good
always
stewards.
have that person.
Oh yeah, we have to be good stewards of the ocean. When we're diving, the quarries. You want to practice there. But you really have to watch yourselves when you're in the ocean marine environment, uh, because you're right. As a underwater photographer, I like to get good pictures of the things I see. And when you've got somebody in a group that you see the stingray coming by, you sit and watch. You let it come to you. And of course, I've had on multiple occasions, I'm sitting there waiting, and then somebody decides, ooh, I want a picture of this thing, and start swimming towards it. And then guess where it goes?
The other way.
It goes the other way, and yeah, I don't get my picture. Now I'm not happy. So,
Oh yeah, I've had it done. It makes me mad. So being courteous to your own divers, I mean, that's another big one. I think we seem to forget. We're taught, keep your gear packed up, and nice, neat. And you don't want to trip over stuff. Uh,
well, and even you're talking about that. A lot of boat operators used to years ago. You brought your gear bag on the boat. You worked out of your gear bag, and boom, you've got everything you need. But in recent years, a lot of the boat operators won't let you bring anything bigger than like a duffel. Just your
yeah.
basic stuff. And of course, again, it falls back to common courtesy, making sure everybody has enough room.
Everybody's safe. Everybody can enjoy it. So they
Exactly.
have a special spot for you to put your cameras. Keep your cameras safe, or they ain't gonna get broken. Because I've had a camera ruined. Not that it was anybody's fault, but it's been ruined on a dive boat before. Um, we don't want our mask broken. Stepping on a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to make sure you're squared away.
So
Let's see. What are we saying? Back to the basics. That's what I'm gonna dub this episode. Back to the basics.
and one thing I think divers forget about is they're professionals. That they're not just there for you at the for class. They're actually there after you're done. You
Oh
can
yeah.
call up our shop and get a dive master and say, "Hey, I want to work on this," and we'll go, "Okay, sure, we'll go on a dive and we'll work on it. No big deal."
Oh yeah.
So, and then you have at least some expertise to help you critique. Um, and then you got instructor levels, which hey, I want to work on that buoyancy, and I mean, take our instructors and they'll home it in for you.
Oh yeah. Most
So,
definitely. That's the one thing, and most instructors, dive masters, any dive professional who's involved in teaching will usually be available for former students. If somebody that I taught, 5 years ago called me up, say, hey, I haven't dove in a year. I need to do a refresher, or I need somebody to dive with me. Okay, come on, let's go. You're able, you have that connection, you've built that rapport, and so you've got it. So
yeah, so we are talking about going back to the basics. Who's best to go back to the basics with?
there you go. Now, if you're like me, unfortunately, rest his soul, uh, my instructor, the one who taught me my open water, he passed away a few years ago in a car wreck. So, but even though he doesn't dive anymore because he can't, Dad was the dive master. So I've always had him. Hey, and of course I've always had the critiquing even when I didn't want it.
Well,
Sorry, Dad, I wouldn't tell you that.
I rely on Brian and Jeff and them. They kind of outrank me. I'm looking for them for guidance and how to make my diving better.
So I'm going to throw this story out here real quick, and then we're going to give the answer to tonight's trivia question. But you're talking about that, and it was back in I think 2013. We went to Cozumel, Mexico with a group, and the I'm not going to call names or anything, but the dive master, or one of the dive masters on the boat, um, he was an all right guy. I'm not knocking him on that aspect, but on a particular dive, me and a couple of others. Now, I'm already an instructor. I'm there. I had a couple of students who wanted to get down to about 90, 95 feet, and then come back up. Okay. So we did. We kept the group in the line of sight. We dropped down, and as we're passing 90 feet, I hear ding, 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 ding. And I look up, and the dive master saying, come up, come up. Okay. So, we started coming on back up, and we got back on the boat, and this dive master proceeded to chew my rear end. Now, he didn't know I was an instructor, but proceeded to chew my rear end for going deeper than we was supposed to. Okay, fair enough. I didn't tell you. That's my bad. No worries. Didn't say anything. I took it. Okay. So the last dive of the day, there was this young lady, and I don't know, her two guy friends that was on the boat with us. And of course, these guys were catering to this girl left and right. I mean, I don't even think she even had to put her gear on. They put it on her for her. I mean, it was, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, it was that situation. So we're on this dive, and I don't even know that they were certified, but wasn't my job, wasn't my place. So I look back on this dive, and they're looking around. I'm kind of watching the group. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and I'm looking. It's a drift dive, and I look up, and I don't see the dive guide or the dive master. Where in the heck did he go? Now Jeff was on one side of me, so I looked at Jeff, and I'm like, buddy, dive leader, where is he? We look around, we could not find him. We turn around, we see all the other divers, like, where did this cat go? We look up, he's already on the surface. Like, dude, what are you doing up there and leaving all of us down here? Okay, so I looked at Jeff, and I'm like, okay, let's get everybody rounded up, ascend, 15-foot safety stop. So we did. We get back on the boat. I had happened to carry my instructor certification card inside my LACRA suit on that day, just in case I needed it. Thank goodness I did. Again. All right, so I just had to tell that little story. Back to the basics. Dive professionals, stay with your group.
Do your research on your instructors. I don't know how to do that without experience, but good luck.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. An object is neutrally buoyant when it displaces an amount of water equal to its own weight. This is known as the Archimedes principle. So I think Jay had the first one right, the equal. I think Steve had the second one right, Archimedes, and then Frank had both of them. So,
get a big bowl.
Huh?
Put a smaller bowl in it, full of water, all the way to the brim. It won't hold one more drop. And then take something like, I don't know, a pair of scissors, something you got laying around, throw it in the water. The water will definitely come out the end. Take that old bowl, get rid of it, measure the water that is now in the big bowl. You can actually figure out by that how much it will take to make that object now float by replacing that water.
Huh.
So, now you can take a cup, pull it with that air mass in it, and it'll float.
Yeah.
Pretty cool little thing. I know. I'm geeking out again.
Hey, maybe we need to do one of those experiments here on the show. Get a webcam and yeah.
You can figure out how much lead you need to sink, or figure out how much it needs to float. I float naturally. My head actually sticks out of the water, so you have to push me down to figure out how much more weight I have to dispute to get me to go down.
We like to play whack-a-mole with JoJo when he's in the water.
Get down. It could be like in the middle of winter, everybody standing on each other's shoulders trying to get people to go down.
Yeah, Archimedes are equal to and Archimedes. So, again, that's something that's in the basic open water class. Actually, that is an actual test question on the open water exam. So, for anybody who's watching this that has not taken the class and is going to, there's your freebie. There's your review. You just can't use it during class.
No open notes here.
You can't jump on YouTube, pull this episode up, and go, oh, I know they discussed this question. Oh, goodness.
So yeah, practice those math skills. Practice readjusting your BCD. How many of you have actually done your stretching skills for when you get a cramp?
Oh, yeah. Nothing worse than getting a cramp underwater and not being able to do anything about it.
I can't reach my foot. Can you still get a hold of that
foot? Some of us who are, I can't say vertically challenged, but maybe horizontally challenged that we
I'm
can't
really
reach that far.
challenged. I can't get over the roll.
Can't get over the roll. Oh goodness. Uh, oh, I, Jojo, we face a lot of challenges. Oh goodness. Well,
And
all
why do
right,
people listen on a
huh?
Monday night? And why do people listen to us on a Monday night?
They do what?
Why do people listen to us on a Monday night?
Because we're talking all things fun. It's scuba. You can tell we actually love what we do. Except for the extended surface intervals. Not a big fan of
Yeah,
the extended surface intervals.
just go with more tanks.
Well, I don't think that's going to help me right now, JoJo.
Guy. I know a guy hook you up.
Yeah.
In fact, I know another guy who might be on this channel that can actually get the gear. They can go to the guy that can hook you up. All there.
Oh, extended surface intervals. I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of people that's going to have an extended surface interval unless they're going on a trip this winter.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. All right, JoJo. It is 8:54. You know what that means?
About time to call it quits on another safety stop.
I know. You know, time to go stoke the fire up, warm back up. Just not ready for this time of year.
I ain't either. It's dark when I leave. It's dark when I get home.
And it's dark when you shut your eyes at night.
I get plenty of daylight, just not at home.
Yeah. I hear you there. Well, all right. Well, you know, it's been really fun going back through some of the basic stuff, things that you may have forgotten, you just don't practice, things like that, and you know, it's always a good idea. Jump back to the basics.
Yeah. Maybe make it a goal on the next stuff. Hey, I want to practice my weight removal and replacement.
Yeah,
It takes you 5 minutes to do. You're not perfect at it. Help your buddy. You know, your buddy can help you get it back. Try it again.
exactly. You know, and I'm going to put this challenge out there. If you're diving in the immediate future, and when I say immediate future, you know, the next month or so, I challenge you to practice one basic open water skill. Pick it. It doesn't matter. One. Real easy to do. Weights, mask, equipment, you know, air share stationary. Just pick something.
Doesn't have to be hard.
No,
Something you think about. So
always. The more you keep the skills in the back of your mind, the more prepped you're going to be if something was to happen. That's going to kick in second nature, and it's going to.
on how to fix it. So
Yep.
uh, yeah, we should be practicing those drills.
Yep. Keep
A
it
lot more than we
basic.
do.
Keep it basic. Well, JoJo, do you have any final thoughts for us for this edition of a chilly Monday night safety stop
Chili's sounding really good
with grilled cheese?
with grilled cheese. Yes.
Maybe a drop of hot
Um,
sauce, you know, some
yeah,
crackers and cheese.
I'm with it. Being proficient in our basic skills, we don't think about it. We don't practice them enough. But at the same time, we can prevent prevent a disaster without even knowing we're going to be in a disaster. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, practice.
You know, and I've heard this for as long as I can remember. Practice makes perfect. And, you know, while it may not be perfect when you're practicing it, that's going to help you perfect your technique.
You will
And
become perfect.
yeah, and then that will in turn make you a more comfortable and confident diver.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, let's see here. I can't even see. My screen's so screen I can't even see. Oh, it says it's 8:59. All right. Well, JoJo, I'm going to try to get warm by stoking up my fire over here. And but anyway, before I do that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in with us every Monday night that we're on here. Uh, I know I can speak for Joe when I say this. We absolutely love being able to spend an hour with you guys on Monday nights talking about different topics in scuba. Notice we didn't bring up a whole lot about the park tonight because we're trying to get more into it's wintertime. Let's talk about skills. Let's talk about travel. Let's talk about equipment. DEMA's just a couple of weeks away, and all kinds of new scuba toys coming out on the market for 2024. So, we'll when JoJo's going with us to DEMA, so that'll be a pretty interesting thing. We're gonna have to figure out, JoJo, are we gonna do the show from Las Vegas that Monday night? Or Las Vegas, I'm sorry. New Orleans. I've got 2024 on my mind.
I'm game with it. We can do it from New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. Worst case scenario, we may come live from DEMA on the group page here.
Just one thing we don't do enough of.
Huh?
Doing little short lives here and there.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do enough of that. We need to do that.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I used to, when we go to Roatan, I'd used to get on usually once a day or once every other day and do a quick little short video on our main Facebook page. And, I've kind of slacked off on that. I'm going to have to get back to that. So, yeah, we may have to come live from DEMA, on Tuesday or Wednesday, just on the group page, talking about the new cool scuba stuff coming out that I'm going to put on my Christmas list for Santa to bring me. But yeah, we're thinking too far into it. But anyway, again, thank you guys for tuning in with us. We appreciate it. You could be doing something else on a Monday night. You're sitting here with us talking about scuba. We absolutely love it. We've been doing this show for a little over 3 years now, and it's just a way that we enjoy talking about different things in the scuba industry, different topics, things going on at the park, whatnot. So thank you for spending your time with us. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys next Monday night right here on the Pennyroyal Divers Group and our YouTube channel. JoJo, we'll see you next week. What? No last words, Joe? Come on.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we'll catch you guys next week.
We are education. We teach the world's most respected system in diving.
We are exploration. We introduce millions to the underwater world.
We are community, connecting the world's largest and most active tribe of divers.
We are conservation. We create ambassadors for the preservation of our ocean planet.
We are Patty, and we are a force for good. the kings of earth.